A Columbia graduate student named Mahmoud Kahlil has been kidnapped. He has been abducted. He has been detained now in Gina, Louisiana, in a prison. A Columbia graduate student named Mahmoud Kahlil has been kidnapped. He has been abducted. He has been detained now in Gina, Louisiana, in a prison after he was taken from his home on Saturday night on Columbia University campus. This is Columbia University housing. He is a permanent resident. He's also Palestinian, and he also has an 8-month pregnant wife. We finally made contact with him. I mean, his lawyers were able to make contact with him. And this happened Saturday, but it's important to know the buildup to this moment, Jessica. It's pretty terrifying. Now, the first sort of like thing that happened was on Friday. Columbia University was denied $400 million of federal funding because of allegations of anti-Semitism, again, because of their anti-genocide protests. And now here is maybe the worst senator that we have, a guy who should absolutely put on a big-ass fucking suit, tailor it to however broad your dumbass shoulders are. John Fetterman tweeting, Columbia let anti-Semitism run amok to cater to a lunatic fringe and paid provocateurs. Leadership allowed those assholes to take over campus and terrorize Jewish students. Now Columbia pays for its failures, and I support that. So Columbia's already getting it. Now, I'm sure you've seen, Jessica, that like Columbia was, one of the universities that was bending over backwards to accommodate the NYPD, arresting its own student body, allowing whatever tanks and weird ass, vehicles that they drove up on there, making sure they were complying. And when they lost their money, they also were like, oh, no, you're right, you're totally right. We should have lost the money. Columbia spokesperson said the student was reviewing the announcement and pledged to, quote, work with the federal government to restore Columbia's federal funding. We take Columbia's legal obligations seriously and understand how serious this announcement is and are committed to combating anti-Semitism and ensuring the safety and well-being of our students, faculty, and staff. That was Friday. This is crazy because that was Friday where they were like, oh, yeah, we're taking it really seriously. And we know whenever they say we're about to take something seriously, some shit is going to go down. And we know that also on Friday, a day before he was abducted, this is according to Prem Takur of Zeteo, who's been doing a bunch of awesome reporting on this. Mahmoud Kahlil reached out to Columbia for help. He said he couldn't sleep from the threats he was receiving. And he even wrote he feared ICE, quote, might come to my home. They did not give him protection, and he was taken for organizing demonstrations. I mean, this is wild. There's a lot more, Jessica, but I guess I just wanted to get your before I dig into how bad it goes.
It's just like, to me, like there's no playing ball. Like there's no oh, I'll just concede a little bit. I'll let this police here. I'll let this happen here. You just have to push back.
Yeah, this is like, people are rightfully really incensed about this. Michelle Goldberg, whose writing I actually really like, but wrote for the New York Times today, this is one of the, the greatest breaches of free speech we've seen. And yet it is not lost on me that the New York Times regularly, demonized anti-genocide protesters, Palestine protesters, and falsely gave, credence to the idea that somehow they were anti-Semitic. And so we've seen, it's not like this came out of nowhere. This is thanks to months and months and months of college administrators saying, oh, you're right. Well, maybe the Intifada does call for the death of all Jews, even though it totally doesn't, and maybe the Jewish students on our campus did feel unsafe in theory when they told us they did, when actually family members of other students were dying in Gaza. It's just, this is all the liberal establishment capitulating to fascism, even under, Joe Biden. And so now, and this is where it gets insane. On Friday, we now know that a Twitter account, really just like a group of, psycho-Zionists, called Documenting Jew Hatred on Campus at Columbia University, so very on the nose, They tweeted at Secretary of State Marco Rubio, saying, please remove and revoke Mahmoud Khalil's visa. And they quote tweet the video of him at Barnard College protesting. He was orchestrating an illegal takeover. He's managed to get on campus despite not being a student. Well, he's a student at Columbia. Barnard's part of Columbia. So that's the day before he then gets swept up and disappeared. And of course, now this is Marco Rubio saying, we will revoke the visas and or green cards of Hamas supporters in America so they can be deported. Donald Trump truthing, following my previously signed executive orders, I proudly apprehended and detained. Like, when there's a clearly pregnant woman next to a man you're hauling away, I don't feel like there's like just pride wouldn't be part of, like, I wouldn't want to look in the mirror as an ICE agent and be like, yes, I did it. I did it.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I just don't understand how. I mean, I guess I always go back to like, what are Trump supporters thinking now? Are they thinking like, cool, we're still the free speech party because Tony Hinchcliffe tells
Gets a
some
Netflix,
joke.
got a Netflix special, by the way.
So awesome. I'm so glad that an open mic is going to be on Netflix. That's great. It's a great time to be a comedian. I'm so proud of what comedy is contributing to America at this time. It's so weird how much comedians have like been leveraged as like they're not getting to say what they want.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like, now somebody's being detained.
I mean, this, like, yes, now they're being detained, and like, it is not lost on me that I am living in the same house. Like, if ICE comes to my door and for Matt, because of things he said, supporting, Palestine, I'll be like, I don't know him. He's just, you can also take the kid. Just go take them. I have nothing to do with it. No, but it is just like, yeah. It's
also like so funny to me, the idea of them coming for Matt. I mean, fascism is just so ridiculous.
But they might straight up, because he,
no, it wouldn't be funny, but it's just like, it's just Matt. Jesus. he's freaking out right now because he has a cold. You know who else has a cold right now is me.
I know. Me too. You can hear it. Yeah, Matt can't get up before 10 in the morning. You really shouldn't be afraid of him. It's really funny. No, exactly. And of course, but this is what they said they were going to do. Many are not students. They're paid agitators. Will find, apprehend, and deport these terrorist sympathizers from our country, never to return again. If you support terrorism, including the slaughtering of innocent men, women, and children, your presence is contrary to our national and foreign policy interests, and you're not welcome here. We expect every one of the American colleges and universities to comply. Thank you. If you support the slaughtering of men, women, and children, you don't belong here. Like, I don't hate that statement.
Yeah.
That's not what Mahmoud Kahlil was doing. That, in fact, is U.S. foreign policy when it comes to supporting Israel. And that is now currently still blocking any aid into Gaza, and has been, of course, targeting hospitals, schools, refugee camps, babies in their incubators, pregnant women, on and on and on and on. So, I mean, it's just like, Jessica, I just wonder, like, what it is to be a liberal Zionist right now, like what it is to even be someone who is like, well, the campuses, I don't know, they're very scary, and they don't like Jews, and I feel they're unsafe, and I'm not even a student, but I feel unsafe. And then you see this, and you know what? Either, and of course, because liberal Zionists can never be wrong, because they're always right in their heart, in theory, they think they're right, in practice, very wrong. But like, I can only imagine they're probably like, well, that's what you get for not voting for Kamala Harris, even though many, many, many people did vote for Kamala Harris. including me trying to
I
get
vote.
everyone to
I
fucking
vote for
vote for fucking
Kamala.
Kamala Harris.
I made phone calls. I said, please, please just vote for Kamala. But yeah, I really need liberal Zionists to stand up right now and be like, oh, like that we're not for.
We're not for
Because
putting out the official White House Twitter, Shalom Mahmoud.
God.
And then quoting, "We will fully apprehend, and deport these terrorist sympathizers from our country, never to return again. Call your electeds now, especially the ones who took APAC money, because they know who they are. We know who they are, because this is pretty much the kind of money that they're taking from. Some Democrats are showing up. Senate Judiciary Democrats say tweeted free Mahmoud Kahlil. That's pretty good. But this is crazy, Jessica, because we're talking about the hypocrisy of the right saying, oh, we believe in free speech, but of course, when it comes to Palestine, no. And here's Ann Coulter being correct. She says, there's almost no one I don't want to deport, but unless they've committed a crime, isn't this a violation of the First Amendment? Trying to do my Ann.
That was pretty good. That was a pretty
Yeah,
good
there's
answer.
yeah. God.
Yeah, we're blowing past Ann Coulter evil.
When it's there, when someone who's like, no, look, I am a Nazi. Like, I would deport literally anyone. You got brown skin, adios. But if they didn't commit a crime, i.e., if all they were doing was organizing a demonstration, which is still legal, this seems like a violation of the First Amendment, to say nothing else.
Yeah, I want to make a little chart that's like the different levels of evil that we're surpassing. And it's like, oh, Ann Coulter's not evil enough. Who else isn't evil enough?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. It's like there's only like Ann Coulter's like a true believer. Like she's Rubio, on the other hand, I think is not. And Rubio, we know, gets tons of money from APAC. And like I don't imagine Ann Coulter's getting that much funding from like pro-Israel groups at this point. I mean, Ann Coulter might be quite literally in the Candace Owens side of all this, like the actual anti-Semites who are against supporting Israel. So who knows? But yes, we have lost Ann Coulter. And yeah, man, it's terrifying. And Colombia to let's see if they've changed their tune. No. This is Caroline Leavitt, again, spokesperson for the White House, said Columbia University has been given the names of other individuals who've engaged in pro-Hamas activity, and they are refusing to help DHS identify those individuals on campus. Okay, so maybe they are sticking up for their students. So they're not at least ratting out their students to DHS, especially now after they probably didn't protect one of them. But Columbia then said, we will support our community in response to all this, by the way. I understand the distress many of you are feeling about the presence of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents on the streets around campus. I feel it too, and I'm working with our team to manage the response. Are they going to have support groups? If you want to get together and do some sharing, we each can hold the talking stick right before you get hauled away by ICE. We will follow the law, as has always been the case, and rumors suggesting that any member of Columbia leadership requested the presence of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents on or near campus are false. It remains the longstanding practice of the university, basically, to comply with law enforcement. And they must have a warrant to enter non-public universities, including residential university buildings. So this could have been illegal. We don't know. Don't open up to ICE. And yet they did say that they would follow the law. So let's say that they come back. Let's say that DHS comes back and are like, okay, well, here are assigned warrants for all the people who coordinated the Palestine protests. Can we have your students now? They'd be like, fine, here you go.
Really?
I mean, if they're saying they're following the law, they're not doing the thing which you would expect maybe a university in a blue city, in a blue state, in the middle of a, fascist disappearing, law-abiding citizens to say, no, we're not going to comply. I don't give a If you have a warrant, we protect our students first and foremost, and we protect their right to, exercise their First Amendments.
Aren't
So
schools supposed to be like the radical place? Maybe not.
allegedly,
Maybe.
allegedly. I mean, this is again, and all of this is like we could talk about this for a long time. And I have, if you guys haven't seen my discussion with Robin D.G. Kelly, professor at UCLA, this is not where it ends. It's going to be Palestine today. It's going to be talking about the Trump administration tomorrow. It's going to be giving up trans students on Wednesday. Like, it is all of it. This is a trial balloon. It always has been. And they're testing the limits of what they can do. And I don't want to say it's a massive distraction from their failings, but it is a distraction from the fact that they are failing us in every other possible way. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do